Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patrons, Anthony B and Adam K. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. This gentleman on X shared an anecdote about how FSD drove him 13 miles to the emergency room while he was having some health problems. He talked about severe dehydration and he endured a mild heart attack. Elon quoted it saying, "Glad Tesla FSD was there to help and that you're feeling well." And the official Tesla account said FSD V12 helped owner get to the hospital when he needed immediate medical attention. Naturally, there are plenty of people in the comments saying that Tesla's FSD saved a man's life. Now, is that possible? Perhaps, but ultimately we don't know what the alternative would have been if he would have just called 911. So is it awesome that in this instance everything worked out well? Absolutely, but does promoting this also set a dangerous precedent? I think you could certainly make that argument. Again, we really don't know what level of supervision this gentleman was capable of for that 13-mile drive, and ultimately if you can't supervise it well, then should you be using it at all? It's definitely a fair question. Very happy to hear this one worked out. It's a cool story, but should he have just called 911 instead? Probably. But long term, when the car might actually be able to realize if the driver is having a health incident and needs help, where FSD could maybe automatically engage if it's not already and get them to medical help quickly, that is going to be an incredible life-saving feature. Also from that Powerwall 3 webinar, which right now is down due to a copyright strike, Tesla will be releasing a 13.5 kilowatt hour DC expansion unit, which are expected to be priced around $1,000 less. That's because they will not have the solar inverter and the site controller electronics. This DCX form factor will be the same as Powerwall 3 with the potential for up to 4 Powerwall 3s and 12 DCXs per gateway. This will make installing Powerwall systems with 2 or more units cheaper and easier, and these DCX units can be added to the system anytime, allowing customers to grow their systems to meet their needs. Also, in a software update scheduled for this month, it should allow AC coupling for the Powerwall 3, which will allow integration with existing solar installations. Right now, the timeline is August 2024 for Tesla to release the DC expansion units in the United States. In 2025, Tesla is set to enable integration with Powerwall 2 systems, and then also next year, Tesla will add 3-phase and off-grid capabilities. The Powerwall 3 is expected to make it to the Australian market sometime in late 2024, but there may be some spec changes for that version. Bank of America cut its Tesla stock price target from 280 down to 220 and said, unless Tesla taps into new geographical markets, we see it hard for the company to generate additional sales with its current product portfolio or without cutting price further. I really just shared that though as a segue to this. We have Tesla vehicles officially arriving in Chile. They've been available for order now for a few months, but deliveries have begun. Tesla has a lot of work to do to build out the infrastructure for EVs in Chile. As you can see from their official map, there is only one red circle, and that is one store and gallery. Last year in Chile, passenger light vehicle sales were about 313,000. So if over time Tesla can grab roughly 10% of that market, that's about 30,000 per year. Not going to move the needle in a major way, but we also have Tesla's entry into India looming, so hopefully that can help tide things over at least a bit until we get to the next gen platform. Tesla has also announced a new Model Y variant in select European countries, the Model Y long-range rear-wheel drive. For this maximum range type vehicle, they're talking about 600 kilometers WLTP, which is about 372 miles. Then if you wanted to convert WLTP to EPA, you divide the WLTP number by 1.12 with about an 8% error rate. That would take us to 332 miles EPA. For now, Tesla has listed 19 different countries where this model is going to be available. I know Tesla likes to streamline manufacturing, but it would be nice to have an option like this in the States. Through all of the comments I've read on the internet, there are seemingly plenty of people that would love to see this option. For everyone in nicer climates that may not really need the all-wheel drive or the weight of that second motor, this is definitely attractive. Jeremy shared a video of this girl in her Tesla saying that she was doing a soft software update in that she was locked inside of her car and she was stuck, could not get out. She said she couldn't roll down the windows, it was 103 in her car, and she was worried about running out of air. So I'm not sure if she was clueless, spreading disinformation on purpose, or if there was a malfunction of sorts, but Tesla did chime in saying this is false. You can always exit the vehicle while it is performing a software update. Peter Diamandis just wrote a blog post about Tesla, Waymo, and FSD. In it, he said the average US commuter spends around 52 minutes every day round trip. That's equivalent to recovering 216 hours per year. Recovering just meaning when robotaxis are here, so just a number to keep in mind in your conversations with other people. Tesla has a new Earth Day tumbler up for sale, $40. But I'm sharing because Tesla said they'll be supporting charitable initiatives focused on sustainability and environmental education, donating $8 for each limited edition water bottle sold. This story about Peter Druckenmiller firing one of his money managers was from years ago, but in case you haven't heard it, I think you should. Druckenmiller said this: I had a guy who managed some money for me come in when the stock was $82, Tesla stock, and I think I was 62. I had given myself a Tesla for my 60th birthday, and he had this incredibly effective analysis, like 20 pages of financials about why Tesla was a short, and at the end of this presentation, really well thought out, I said, have you ever driven the car? And he said no, and I sent him his redemption notice the next week. I think this is so pertinent today, not just for Tesla, but for EVs and also for FSD. How many people online right now that are commenting about these topics have actually experienced them firsthand? I can guarantee you there's a non-trivial percent of people that are commenting in a dogmatic fashion without ever having tried FSD, without ever having been in a Tesla or any other EV. Just to share the other side of the story, because for the last 2 years, it seemed like Elon has taken so much heat and fire about his politics and things that he decides to post about. And is he upsetting a small minority that will now not buy a Tesla product? Yes, I would agree with that. But I feel like nobody ever talks about the flip side, those people that maybe now will buy a Tesla product just because of what Elon is choosing to stand for. As the Kilowatt said, one of his Turo guests from Brazil wanted to use a Tesla during his trip just to support Elon and him fighting against the corrupt politicians back at home. Just don't forget about the other side of this story. Adam Jonas and Morgan Stanley put out another Tesla stock note, and at some point we have to give them some credit here. I may not agree with the conclusions they draw all the time, but they really are trying to understand this Tesla story. They were talking about Tesla's compute plans for the next year or so, and so they checked with an Nvidia analyst who said, we continue to hear reports of stronger demand outside of the traditional hyperscaler customers, with notably robust demand from Tesla. We don't know exactly how many H100s Tesla has, but I think we could be pretty confident it's more than the 10,000 number that we've been throwing around now for the past few months. Pair that with a post Elon made on X that implied Tesla had more than 30,000 H100s, and the number's most likely higher than 10,000. And of course, growing quickly. And what do you know? One of the few Wall Street analysts to give Tesla stock credit when it comes to autonomy actually said, I've used FSD regularly for nearly 18 months. This one was somewhat ridiculous. We have the Global Times, which is China's national English language newspaper. They did a piece saying Tesla should worry about its decision to build a factory in India. Reasons cited: lack of supply chain and infrastructure, lack of skilled engineers and workers, and a negative business environment. Okay, fair enough, but if that's the case, why was BYD recently looking to spend $1 billion setting up manufacturing in India? A proposal, by the way, that India actually rejected. And it wasn't only BYD, but Great Wall and SAIC were also looking to set up shop in India. So to me, this one just feels like China being a bit salty that their advancements in India have been rejected, yet Tesla is being welcomed with open arms. And ultimately, China is just losing out on getting a foothold in the most populous country on the planet. Polestar's Q1 sales were not stellar. They delivered 7,200 vehicles in Q1, down 40% from 12,000 last year. Thomas Ingenloth was talking about the Polestar 3 and 4, their luxury SUVs set to ramp up in the latter half of this year, saying these two cars will provide the basis for a strong revenue and margin progression during the second half of the year, supporting 2025 targets. Those targets being delivering about 160,000 vehicles next year. Of those 7,200 deliveries in Q1, 1,200 of them were the Polestar 4 in China. Thus, Polestar 2 sales were only about 6,000. Global deliveries of the Polestar 3 are set to begin in the second quarter of this year, while the Polestar 4 is expected to reach first customers in Europe and Australia in August, with deliveries in America expected later in 2024. Ingenloth also said 2024 is a transitional year as we move from being a one-car brand during the first half of the year to ramping up deliveries of our two luxury SUVs during the second half. Ford is targeting Tesla and a few other companies with some conquest-type offers. To be fair, Ford is targeting other brands like Chevy, Dodge, and Jeep. The new incentive, officially called the Tesla Competitive Conquest Bonus Cash, offers existing Tesla owners an additional $1,500 off the price of an F-150 Lightning. Maybe if some Tesla owners are sick of waiting for their Cybertruck, they could take Ford up on this offer, but if they've been waiting this long, I'm not sure they're ready to give up right now. The NTSB is investigating a March crash near Philadelphia that killed 2 people and involved a Ford Mach-E. It hit 2 stationary cars in the middle of the night, actually killing 2 people, and the word is it may have been operating on a partially automated driving system. Separately, NHTSA is looking into another Mach-E accident that ended in a fatality with a CR-V that was also at night. They said the car was equipped with Ford's partially automated driving system, but they have not said if it was active at the time of the crash. Just to show you that the pace of innovation coming out of China is not just on the EV side, but it's also on the battery storage side. It was only May of last year when BYD first launched its MC Cube using its Blade batteries. Less than 1 year later, and they've boosted most of the specs. The capacity is now up to 6.4 megawatt hours. A Tesla Megapack is 4 megawatt hours. 2 years ago, we had this company Invisible Urban Charging installing about 6,000 chargers in Florida, and at the time, it was going to make it the largest EV charger operator in Florida. The way this deal worked, these commercial sites would pay the IUC a monthly fee once the chargers are installed, and then EV owners pay to use the chargers through the IUC app. Well, fast forward to now, and the same company, Invisible Urban Charging, has teamed up with the CBRE Group, the world's largest commercial real estate services and investment company, to deploy 1 million EV chargers over the next 5 years in the US. They're touting this as the largest EV charging as a service deal worldwide. CBRE, which is mostly a commercial real estate firm, will provide the site selection, the project management, installation, and ongoing maintenance services. The IUC will provide the funding and the charging hardware and the software, as well as manage operations through its charging as a service platform. This IUC company was founded in 2019, and basically they work with these commercial property owners. So think of maybe a large parking garage. IUC comes in and installs a volume number of chargers, usually over 40 per site. As mentioned, IUC selects the hardware, connects it to their own software, then they install it through their partners, and then they do actually monitor and manage the system. And there are some guardrails or limitations to this, but the site owner, aka the parking garage owner, can actually choose the rates that they charge their customers for the electricity. In the end, part of the profits go to the site owner and part of the profits go to IUC. IUC was founded back in 2019, and they are focusing on level 2 charging.
But what's the issue? Well, over the next, call it by 2030, and these numbers might be low, Shanali, there's so many different estimates out there. There's going to be 35 to 50 million EVs on the road. In the U.S., we only have about 165,000 public chargers at this point, and current estimates, are that we need about 3.5 to 5 million chargers by 2030.
I love this deal because it's public chargers at places people will already be. It brings new players into the EV sustainable energy space, in this case, this real estate company. Not only that, but IUC focuses on charging density. So again, their sites have 40 plus chargers per site. So when you show up, you can be pretty confident you can actually charge your vehicle. And lastly, given that IUC is running this charging as a service business, they are highly incentivized to ensure their chargers actually work. So when they come back to their customers and say, hey, would you like some more? The answer is yes. The gang of about 80 protesters currently in the Giga Berlin forest are now saying they want to continue their protest indefinitely. They said, we will stay here until the expansion of the factory is off the table. The situation is somewhat of a mess because between the police and the Brandenburg government, no one really knows exactly how to handle it. Everybody has a different opinion, so we'll see how it shakes out. I know things have been tough for Tesla stock owners, but sometimes perspective can help a little bit. Lucid is continuing to set new all-time lows. And not just Lucid, but Rivian is also continuing to set new all-time lows. That whole strategy of trying to find the next Tesla has not worked out favorably for all of that capital. Tesla stock closed the day at $174.60, up 1.65%, while the Nasdaq was up 1.68%. Honestly, Tesla stock is continuing to hold up very well, as today we had Rivian, Lucid, and Polestar all down over 5%. It was an average volume day for Tesla, trading about 3 million shares below the average volume the past 30 days. I know golf isn't really a big thing in the Tesla community, but I personally am a big golf fan, and it's the week of the Masters, so tomorrow on Friday a video from me is going to be TBD, depending on the news flow and what there is to talk about. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did. You can find me on X, linked below, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.